The monster in the cage. In the deepest part of the military base, below the ground where no sunlight ever touched, there was a special cage. The walls were made of a strange black metal, stronger than steel, thicker than any prison walls. Cameras, watched from every corner. Guards never entered without full armor. And yet no one had seen the prisoner move in days. They called her the monster. No one used her real name. Most soldiers refused to go near her cell. Rumors spread across the base like fire. She can melt your skin just by looking at you. She speaks in dead languages. She killed a whole squad with one breath. People feared her, even the commanders. But one man was not afraid, not because he was brave, because he didn't know who or what was behind the door. His name was Eli Cade, a young human technician. His job was simple: fix broken scanners and systems. That day, his work order said, repair faulty wall scanner in sublevel D12. He took his toolbox, walked through the silent halls, and rode the lift down. The lights flickered. The deeper he went, the air got colder. He reached a hallway with red warning signs on every wall. Danger, do not enter. Containment zone. Eli blinked. Weird, he muttered. The work order didn't mention anything about a lockdown. He tried, calling the supervisor, no signal. Then he saw the door, big metal, sealed tight, but a green light blinked on the lock. Unlocked. Guess I'm expected. He shrugged. He pushed the heavy door open and stepped inside. What he saw made him freeze. A giant dark room, cold and silent. And in the middle, a girl, sitting on the floor, alone, wrapped in chains that glowed faintly blue. Her hair was long and dark, with streaks of silver. Her skin was pale like moonlight. Her back was turned to him. She didn't move. Eli's hand reached for the door, but it slammed shut. Behind him, clang, he jumped. Whoa, hey, what's going on? Lights flickered. The girl finally turned her head. Her eyes glowed. Faint violet, not angry, not sad, just tired. Eli froze. You're not a monster. She didn't speak. He looked around. I think I walked into the wrong room. I was just sent to fix a scanner. She slowly tilted her head. Then, fix it. Her voice was calm, soft, not like a monster at all. Eli's heart beat fast. He walked slowly to the wall, keeping one eye on her. He opened the scanner panel and began his work. Sparks flew. He cursed under his breath. The girl chuckled. It wasn't cruel, just amused. You don't seem scared, she said. Eli glanced back. Should I be? She looked away. Everyone else is. Why? They say I'm dangerous. Eli raised a brow. Are you? I could be. He paused. But you're not. Silence. Then she said, No, I'm not. He closed the panel and stood. Scanners fixed. I'll go now. She looked at him again, and for the first time, he saw something else in her eyes. Loneliness. What's your name? He asked. They call me Monster. I'm not asking them. She hesitated, then said quietly, Kira. He smiled. Nice to meet you, Kira. I'm Eli. A light above the door blinked green. The lock released. He looked back once more. Why are you really here? He asked. She didn't answer, so he left. Above ground, alarms were flashing in the command center. He entered her cell? The commander shouted. Yes, sir, the guard said. But she didn't touch him. She just talked. The commander's eyes narrowed. That's impossible. She never speaks. She did to him, sir. The commander slammed his fist on the table. Keep watching. If that human returns, I want to know everything. Back in his quarters, Eli stared at the ceiling. That girl, those eyes, that sadness. He wasn't sure what he saw down there, but he knew one thing for sure. She wasn't a monster, not to him. Eyes that don't lie. Eli couldn't sleep. His room on the base was quiet, but his mind wasn't. No matter how hard he tried, he kept seeing her face, Kira, the so-called monster. Her violet eyes weren't angry or wild. They didn't burn with hate like the stories said. They were sad. Just sad. He sat up in bed. His heart told him something no report could explain. That girl didn't belong in a cage. The next day, Eli went to his normal repair duties, fixed a flickering light panel, replaced a coolant pipe, but his feet kept pulling him back, down, lower, toward sub-level D12. He didn't use the elevator this time. He didn't want anyone to see him. Instead, he took the old ladder behind Maintenance Bay 4. No cameras. No logs. Step by step, he climbed down into the dark. The heavy metal door to her chamber stood silent once more. He didn't knock. He just opened it. Inside, Kira was exactly where he'd left her, sitting on the cold floor, hands in her lap, chains around her wrists and ankles. This time she looked at him first. "You came back?" she said. Eli nodded. "Yeah." "Why?" "I don't know." She gave him a small smile. "I think you do." He didn't reply. He walked over and sat on the floor just far enough away to be polite but close enough to hear her soft voice. For a while, neither of them said a word. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, just strange. Peaceful. Finally, Eli spoke. "They say you're dangerous, that you killed people." Kira looked down. "Do you believe them?" "I don't know." She glanced up. "But you came back." Eli sighed. I've seen monsters before. Real ones. They don't have eyes like yours." She tilted her head. "How do my eyes look?" He hesitated. "Like someone who's been alone for too long." Kira looked away again. "I didn't kill anyone. Not like they said. I protected people. But I was too strong. Too different." "Where were you from?" "My planet doesn't exist anymore." Eli blinked. "What?" She nodded slowly. "They came. Machines. Weapons. I stopped one fleet alone. But they bombed the surface to erase us." He swallowed hard. "You're the last?" She nodded again. Eli rubbed his face. "They told everyone you destroyed a city. I saved it. But they locked you up. Because they were afraid." Above them in the control room, 2 officers watched the camera feed nervously. "She's speaking again," said the younger one. The commander leaned closer. "Turn up the audio. Record everything." Back in the cell, Eli leaned closer to Kira. "So what now? They're keeping you here forever?" She shook her head. "They're testing me. Waiting. Watching. They want to use me. For what?" She didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, "As a weapon." Eli's jaw clenched. "That's sick." She looked at him. "You're different. You don't flinch when I speak. You don't stare like I'm some thing." "You're not," Eli said. "You're just a girl." Her lips trembled, almost like she might cry, but she didn't. Instead, she asked, "Will you come back again?" Eli stood. "If they don't catch me, yeah, I will." She nodded. "Then maybe I'll believe not all humans are the same." As Eli left the chamber, the door closing behind him, Kira sat in silence once more. But this time her chains didn't feel as heavy. In the shadows of the command center, the military commander made a call. "Begin Phase 2. The human has made contact." The voice on the other end asked, "Should we remove him?" "No," the commander said coldly. "Let's see how deep this bond goes before we break it." Classified truths. Eli wasn't supposed to be in the command archive room, but rules didn't matter now. He had to know the truth. He swiped a stolen access card, one he secretly copied from a sleeping guard. The door clicked open, and cold air poured out. Rows of servers and glowing terminals stretched across the room like a maze. The computer welcomed him with a robotic voice. Access granted. Welcome, Lieutenant Corvin. Eli's heart pounded. Let's see what secrets you're hiding. He typed her name, subject K7. Alias, Kira. Dozens of files appeared, most of them redacted. But Eli was good with systems, better than anyone knew. One by one, he bypassed the security blocks. Red screens turned green. Hidden reports filled the screen. He read in silence. At first, his face was calm. Then it changed. His eyes widened. His hands began to shake. File 231. Mission log. Subject K7 prevented total destruction of Colony Eros 9 by disabling a full attack fleet using non-lethal methods. No civilian deaths reported. Response. Subject's powers deemed uncontrollable. Target captured and reassigned as potential weapon asset. File 405. Prison order. Public story created. K7 destroyed Eros 9 in a rage. No survivors. Media cover pushed to all networks. Subject to remain in silence indefinitely, Eli. Backed away from the terminal, sick to his stomach. They lied. They erased her truth. They turned a protector into a monster. He downloaded the files onto a secret data chip and slipped it into his jacket. The sound of boots echoed in the hallway. Voices. He slipped out the back emergency door and vanished into the shadows before they found him. Back in the containment level, Kira sat in the dark. She didn't eat, didn't sleep. She just waited, until she heard the soft hiss of the door. Eli stepped inside, breathless, eyes storming with anger. She stood up slowly. You found something. He nodded and tossed her the chip. I saw everything. You didn't destroy Eros 9, you saved it. Kira caught the chip and stared at it silent for a moment. Then she whispered, I never thought anyone would believe me again. Eli stepped closer. They turned you into a weapon for one reason. Because you were powerful and kind. That scared them. They feared I'd change the way people saw their rule, Kira said softly. They were right, Eli said. You already changed the way I see everything. Meanwhile, in the upper tower, the commander watched the footage. He found the truth, said one of the officers. The commander's eyes narrowed. Let him. The deeper he falls into her spell, the more useful he becomes. What's the next move? The officer asked. The commander smiled darkly. We open her cell tonight. Let's see if she's truly tamed. Hours later, alarms blared through the base. Warning, containment breach in Sector D12. Guards scrambled, weapons loaded, doors slammed shut across the base. But in the chaos, Kira's door slid open. On purpose. She blinked, confused, then stepped out, unchained. And for the first time in years, she stood on her own. Free. In the hallway, Eli heard the alarms. He ran toward the sector. A voice shouted over the speakers. Subject, K7 has escaped. Shoot on sight. No, Eli shouted. She didn't escape. You released her. But no one listened. They were already on their way, with weapons. Eli turned the corner and stopped. Kira stood in the middle of the hallway, bathed in red emergency light, surrounded by soldiers. Guns aimed, one finger away from firing. She looked, calm, but her eyes found Eli, and she said just one word. Don't be afraid. The touch that changed everything. The hallway was red with alarm lights. Soldiers lined both sides, armor on, weapons raised. Every finger rested on a trigger. The air was tense, heavy, ready to explode, and in the middle of it all stood her Kira. No chains, no guards, just a girl with glowing violet eyes standing barefoot and still, not angry, not afraid, just free. Eli stepped out from behind a corner. He saw her, standing tall but calm, and the fear in every soldier's eyes. Kira, he shouted. She didn't turn her head. She just raised one hand and said again softly, Don't be afraid. The soldiers shouted, Stand down, kneel, get on the ground. But she didn't move, and neither did Eli. He walked, slowly, right through the line of soldiers. They yelled at him. Some tried to stop him, but none dared fire. He walked past the rifles, past the gas masks, past the blinking lasers, until he stood in front of her, face to face. "Kira," he whispered. "You don't have to prove anything. You're not what they say you are." She looked at him. Her eyes shimmered, not with power but with emotion. "They will never stop fearing me," she said. "Then let them watch." Eli replied, and he did something no one dared in years. He reached out and placed his hand gently on hers. The moment his skin touched hers, the hallway went completely silent. All machines, silent. The alarms, silent. Even the soldiers froze, staring. Because something happened. Kira's glowing skin stopped pulsing. The violet light softened, dimmed, and faded. Her eyes closed for a second. Then she opened them again. She looked human. Not a monster. Not a weapon. Just a girl. Gasps filled the hallway. Is she shifting? No. She's calming. She didn't attack. She trusted him. From the control room above, the commander stared at the live feed. "Impossible," he whispered. The officers were speechless. "She stabilized," one said. "No signs of aggression," another added. The commander slammed his fist on the table. "End this. Now." Back in the hallway, Kira whispered to Eli. "They're going to try to separate us." He nodded. "Then we run." Gunfire suddenly erupted behind them, just one warning shot. "Step away from her," someone yelled. But Kira's hand tightened around Eli's. "No," she said calmly. "We're leaving." And her body began to glow again. Brighter this time, but not like before. Not wild. Not dangerous. Controlled. Focused. She lifted her other hand. A wall of blue energy spread out like a dome, covering her and Eli. The bullets that fired next hit the shield and fell to the ground powerless. "Don't hurt them," Eli said quickly. Kira nodded. "I won't." Together they moved through the hallway. Soldiers tried to block them, but her energy bent the walls, bent gravity, even bent light. Nothing touched them. They reached the elevator. Kira waved her hand. The power came back. The doors opened. Inside, Eli caught his breath. Kira looked at him. "You still think I'm a monster?" she asked. He shook his head, smiling faintly. "No, I think you're the most human person I've met here." But just before the doors closed, a new alarm started, louder, colder. A voice came over the speaker. "Warning, code black, off-world strike team en route. Subject K7 must not escape the base." Eli and Kira exchanged one look. This wasn't over. It was only the beginning. Escape from the shadows. The elevator shot upward like a bullet. Eli stood beside Kira in silence, both listening to the loud sirens above and below. Her hand was still holding his. Warm, steady, real. He couldn't believe it. They were escaping. Together. But it wouldn't be easy. Code Black initiated. Strike team arriving in 7 minutes. The robotic voice repeated every few seconds. Kira looked at Eli. "They're bringing the off-world hunters, the ones who never take prisoners." Eli frowned. "They'll regret coming." She gave him a small smile, but her eyes didn't shine. "They won't come for you. They'll come for me." Eli looked straight at her. "Then I guess they'll find us both." The elevator stopped. They stepped out into a hangar bay filled with empty ships and blinking lights. "Kira, do you know how to fly any of these?" Eli asked quickly. She nodded once. "All of them." They ran to a compact freighter, the Black Arrow, old but fast. Kira moved with surprising grace, unlocking the hatch with a wave of her hand. Systems flickered to life. Inside, Eli slid into the co-pilot seat while Kira took the main controls. She didn't need instructions. Her hands moved fast. Eli stared. "You sure you've never escaped before?" She didn't look up. "No, but I've dreamed about it." Behind them, heavy boots hit the floor. The first wave of soldiers poured into the hangar. Then came the tall figures in black armor. The strike team. Their helmets glowed red. Their rifles pulsed with plasma rounds designed to kill creatures like her. "There!" one shouted. "Target acquired!" Bullets flew. Kira slammed the ignition. "Roar!" The black arrow lifted off as blaster fire lit up the hangar. Eli fired back using the belly turret, forcing the soldiers to duck. "You're a great pilot," he shouted. She replied calmly, "You haven't seen anything yet." The ship shot out of the hangar doors, slicing through the upper shields like a ghost. But they weren't alone. 3 military drones launched after them, closing fast. Eli activated the rear defense grid. "We've got tails." "I'll shake them," Kira said, eyes focused. The ship dived hard into the planet's cloud layer. Lightning cracked outside. Visibility dropped to nothing. The drones followed. "She's flying blind." A voice crackled. "Over comms. She'll crash," another replied. But they didn't know Kira. Eli watched in awe as she spun the ship sideways, guiding it through a narrow canyon hidden inside the storm. "How are you doing this?" he asked. "I see patterns," she said softly. "Energy flows, paths others can't." Outside, a drone smashed into a rock wall, then another. Only one remained. "Open the side bay," Kira said. Eli ran to the side door, hit the release. Wind roared through the hallway. Kira tilted the ship hard. Eli grabbed a plasma charge and threw it with all his strength. Boom! The final drone exploded mid-air. The ship leveled out, engines straining. The storm faded behind them. They were free. For now. Later, in orbit, the black arrow floated in silence. Eli patched up the damaged panels while Kira stood near the window staring at the stars. "You saved me back there," she said. "You saved me first," Eli replied. "No," Kira said. "I was just waiting for someone who didn't see me as a monster." Eli walked over to her. "I never saw one," he said softly. She looked at him with tired, glowing eyes. "You touched me when the world told you not to. You listened when others shouted lies. That means something." Just then the console beeped. Incoming transmission. From everywhere. They walked over. The screen showed a dozen news feeds, pirate signals, hacked channels. Every one of them was replaying the same moment, Eli's hand touching Kira's, the moment she changed in front of the soldiers, and the galaxy was talking. The monster didn't kill. She protected. Was everything they told us a lie? Who is the human that stood beside her? Kira looked at Eli. "They know now." He nodded. "But knowing the truth doesn't mean they'll accept it." Her eyes narrowed. "Then, we make them." A red light flashed. Multiple bounty signals detected. Elite hunters inbound. Kira stepped away from the screen and said, "Let them come." When the world saw her again, the stars above the desert moon were quiet. But the ground burned with fire. Smoke curled into the sky from the ruins of a small alien village. Crates were broken. Walls were scorched. People hid in fear. Children, elders, unarmed civilians. They had nothing left. A ruthless pirate crew had landed hours earlier, searching for fuel, supplies, and something to hurt. They found innocent lives instead, and they didn't care. High above, aboard the Black Arrow, Kira watched through the ship's viewing panel. "They're attacking a defenseless village," she said, voice tight. Eli stood beside her. "They're not even military, just cowards with weapons." Kira's hands curled into fists. "We have the power to help," she whispered. "You sure?" Eli asked. "Helping might expose you. Everyone's watching." "I'm not hiding. Anymore," she said, already walking toward the hatch. The villagers cried out as one of the pirate soldiers kicked over a food crate. A little boy ran to grab it. He was hungry, weak. The pirate aimed his weapon. The boy screamed. Then everything froze. A glowing blue wall appeared between them. The energy crackled like lightning, but it didn't harm. The pirate's gun fell from his hand, melting slightly at the barrel. All heads turned. From the sky, floating down like light, she appeared. Kira, no longer chained, no longer feared. dressed in a sleek black suit and surrounded by a soft field of energy. She looked almost unreal. Her violet eyes glowed gently, not with rage but with purpose. The pirates raised their weapons. She didn't flinch. She stepped forward and said just one word: "Leave." They laughed. The leader, a scarred alien brute, snarled, "Or what? You'll cry us away?" Kira stepped again, calm and steady. Eli's voice echoed through her earpiece. "They're bluffing, but they'll fire." "I know," she replied. The pirate fired the first shot. It didn't land. The energy around Kira bent the bullet, sending it harmlessly into the sand. The second shot never came. The gun was yanked from the pirate's hand, ripped into pieces. Mid-air, the rest of the pirates backed away, shouting. But Kira never moved faster than a walk. With every step, weapons jammed. Fire burned out. Wind pushed the pirates to their knees. She didn't kill. She didn't wound. She just stopped them. With power, with grace, with silence. The villagers stepped out from their hiding places, stunned. The boy ran to her, tears in his eyes. Kira knelt down and placed a warm hand on his shoulder. "It's over," she said gently. For the first time in years, she was seen not as a weapon, but as a protector. From above, Eli recorded everything with a drone. The footage was already being shared, hacked into military networks, social channels, private feeds. The galaxy saw it. A girl once called a monster, saving lives. Hours later, in the Black Arrow's control room, the ship's console beeped. Incoming messages. 3829 new transmissions. Eli scrolled through them. Some were shocked, some were confused. Many were full of regret. Is that her? We were wrong. She's not a monster. She's a hero. Even from government offices, quiet messages appeared. Can we speak? We want to understand. Kira stepped into the room, quiet as always. You did it, Eli said. They're watching, and they don't know what to believe anymore. They don't have to believe anything, Kira said. They just need to see me as I am. And how do you see yourself now? Kira looked at him. I don't know, she said softly. But when I touched that child today and he didn't pull away, she smiled. I didn't feel like a monster anymore. Suddenly, the screen blinked red again. High priority military broadcast incoming. Eli clicked it open. The commander from the base appeared. His face was tired, older than Eli remembered, but not angry. Kira, he said slowly. We were wrong. She said nothing. We watched you today, he continued. You saved lives, even when you didn't have to. You showed us something we haven't seen in a long time. Compassion. Eli narrowed his eyes. So what now? The commander looked straight into the screen. There are still others who won't accept you. They will come. Harder, stronger. But this time, maybe not alone. Kira turned to Eli. They're not done hunting me, she said. Eli answered without hesitation. Then let's finish this together. The one who dared to touch her. The stars shimmered above the quiet planet, but space was not quiet. From orbit, they came. Dark ships with sharp wings and glowing red engines. No flags, no signals, no mercy. These were the Cleaners. A secret faction sent to erase what governments couldn't control. Their order was simple. Eliminate Kira. Eliminate the threat. No survivors. Inside the Black Arrow, Kira stood in silence, watching the enemy fleet approach. Eli stood beside her, his jaw tight. They came faster than we expected, he said. Kira nodded. They were waiting, watching. Then they're afraid of you. They're afraid of the truth, she said, that I'm not what they made me out to be. She turned to Eli, her eyes glowing softly. If I die today, I want them to. Remember that one human reached for me when the whole galaxy turned away. Eli stepped closer. He gently took her hand. You're not dying, he said. Not today. Her fingers tightened around his. For a moment, they were just two people. No powers. No chains. Just real. The enemy fleet opened fire. Streams of plasma lit the skies. The black arrow shook violently. Shields dropped to 30%. Eli ran to the weapons console. We can't outrun them. I won't run, Kira said. She stepped to the center of the room, closed her eyes, and began to glow. Light poured from her body like a rising sun, pure and controlled. The ship began to hum, alive with energy. Her presence filled every system, every wall, every wire. What are you doing? Eli asked, shielding his eyes. Becoming what I was meant to be, she said. Outside, enemy fighters reached the atmosphere. They fired again and again. Missiles screamed toward the ship. But right before impact, they vanished. The plasma melted, mid-air. The missiles disintegrated. The enemy ships trembled. Then, stopped, frozen in space. Engines died. Lights faded. The attackers had no control. One by one, the warships powered down, like candles in the wind. Kira opened her eyes. She was breathing hard, sweat on her forehead, but she was standing. Eli looked around, amazed. You didn't destroy them? No, she said softly. I just showed them what fear feels like. Across the galaxy, 100 ships watched the moment. A girl once called a monster had brought down a fleet. Without killing a single soul, a message flooded the networks. Not from governments, not from soldiers, but from people, ordinary people. We see her. She's not a weapon. She's one of us. In the days that followed, Kira's name spread, not in fear, but in hope. Nations debated, alliances shifted. Some still feared her. Some stayed silent, but many more reached out with open hands. She became a symbol, not of power, but of what it meant to be seen. Back on the surface, in the soft golden light of a quiet morning, Kira stood near a stream. Eli walked up behind her, holding a small metal tag. What's that? She asked. He smiled. Old Earth tradition. Dog. Tags, soldiers wore them. He offered it to her. It read Kira, the one who was touched. She blinked, surprised. Touched? Eli nodded. Because that's what changed everything. Not your powers, not your past, but the fact that someone dared to reach out. She held the tag, smiling. Then maybe it's your story too. He laughed softly. Maybe it's ours. Later that evening, the villagers gathered under the stars. Children sat near a campfire listening to the tale. And when the world feared her, the old storyteller said, only the humans saw through the mask and dared to touch the monster. A small girl raised her hand. But she wasn't a monster, right? The old woman smiled. No, child, she was never a monster.